Good morning, class. Welcome to Homeroom with Unc and Market Monk.
Good morning, P. How's your week?
Good. Just kind of an ideal Monday to be honest. Just a big, big overreaction, um, pre-market gap down, stuff like that. Just pick a few that I know well and just hold for a couple days. That's pretty much what I did with EVGO and and a couple others. Um, good range and pivots just for a couple things in crypto. I still just don't think that it's particularly healthy right now in Bitcoin. So I don't think we're kind of going to be heading back to that anytime soon. But gold and silver thesis working out, energy thesis doing well. So yeah, just really, really happy with that. There's sectors where I'm more confident in the bounce than others. Uranium being one of them. And then I think even within tech, you have to be pretty picky. There's some things that are going to go down and can stay down a while. I think we're kind of entering that phase of the market right now.
Yeah, definitely. Monday showed you the volatility that not necessarily Trump can bring, but the pivoting to the new whatever new process we're gonna do. I mean, I think that's
Yeah,
6 to 8 weeks. I said. I mean, the market isn't a bull market, so they're gonna stay pretty resilient. But man, the range has been great. Um, Different sectors. I mean, totally. Into different sectors than we figured out last year. He touched on the metals and the energy trade, which pretty well positioned for the energy trade. And I like where I'm at in that regard. And then the space still been good. Um,
yep.
and then yeah, just depending on level and buying stuff on levels, getting a lot of the I don't know the weird ones back. I mean, Jamaji come back up this week. So yeah, I mean, I like where we are. If you're trading spy or semis or anything like that. Probably a little tougher environment because the range isn't there. That you're kind of consolidating a little bit more on those charts. Um, I had a thought last week. Yeah, you can say it till you're blue in the face that the A's are going to be kind of flat and the B's and C's are going to move the market, but you still got to figure out the B's and C's from the D's and the F's. So um, definitely
Yeah,
where my
yeah.
head's been this week and or I guess last
So
month. Um, finding
yeah,
those,
I think and
finding those and
oh,
then
go ahead.
finding those and staying established in the energy plays because I know those are going to take time.
Right, and I've tried to express that about oil, and when I post flow on it, I mean some of it's out to the summer or even next fall, and to me as far as timing goes, the January 2026 doesn't really say much about timing because we're still so far out. It'll be a couple months before that is more relevant. But really, it's the April, June, July, August flow that I'm like that I can read. I mean, especially if there's a pairing there, that 1-2 punch I talk about, where you have something in April and then something into the fall. And with some of them, there's a significant leg up. Like you'll have a silver stock trading under $6 that might have flow for 7 or 8 in monthlies, and then it jumps out to 12 in after that. So um, that is what kind of is getting me into a lot of these setups. Not that I care if it goes to 12 from 6, but that gives a lot more confidence to the move to 8, and that in and of itself. I mean, that's the trade, and then you just keep what you want after that. As far as the administration goes, I think the biggest thing, more so even than policy shifts, is just keywords. I mean, day to day
Yes.
algo keywords. He says tariff, algo sell off, and it's that this tariff FUD is great for great for moving these stocks. I don't know that it'll have long-term detrimental effects. However bad a trade relationship goes, greed can win out, and it can just smooth itself out over time. Somebody's going to cave. Something will get resolved. Trump will call it a win no matter what happens, and back to normal. The AI FUD is going to be with us too. So I think I saw something today. Oh, some lab at Berkeley reproduced DeepSeek for $30. You read into it, it's not quite that simple. But the idea that AI is getting cheaper and more efficient, and we're not going to need the chip demand that the market has moved on for so long, is something I would be mindful of. And you can trade Nvidia, goes under 120, pops to 135 or something like that. Don't just think it's not going to see 120 again, because it probably will. And I just think we're gonna be in that for a while. So then you decide, how do I want to trade this? If I want to hold it for 5 or 10 years, I don't really care about that $10 range. But if it's a trade, don't take it all the way back down. And I just had one chart on this topic, and then we'll move on. But if you could call up, well, I guess I could do it. I wanted to look MSTR real quick, which I trade a lot. Obviously, very sensitive to Bitcoin and that. Let me my thing here. How do I do this? All right, 1 second. All right. Okay, so I said on MSTR, forgive the minute chart, but needed it for options. I said in my note, I'm looking for a bounce off 334. Then, was fast. It was very fast. You had to be ready for that. Or you just wait and, wait for the bounce and buy into the move. It, made this move towards 350. I got out here, had one left, and just kind of kept it and all that. But look at where it ended up. Fell right back down to the pivot. It was the day didn't even happen. Closed down 1.5%. That's really nothing for that stock, but just this pivot, and the zone I'm trading in is 334 to 370. Before the tariff keywords came out, it probably was going to pop to 360 or so. But that's just what we're gonna see. And there really isn't much of an advantage here to swing trading this, in my opinion. So you got to really know what you're in. And if you want to swing something, we're talking about them. They're in energy, and you're gonna have to wait a couple months. That's kind of the two types of trades that I got going on right now.
Well, your range is just, I wouldn't say limited, but the range isn't there for day trades on most things right now. And if it is, you're going to have to be real happy with 5 or 10%. That's why levels right now are, the complete, not the safest place, but they're the best place to get those kind of bounces. Because I was looked at MSTR. I don't really trade it, but you're hitting like 70, maybe 80% of your 30-day average on the volume. It's just going to be stuck in the box. So there's going to be a high or low of that box. So figure it out, and if it's tradable for you, trade it. I've been doing that with not necessarily Nvidia, but a lot of the bigger names, and just taking a couple $100 because for one, I want to build a position in said names, and two, that's just the defined range right now. There's if you go back to even November, December in our group, every day I point out, here's another 20%er, and you're just not getting those right now, and you're definitely not getting those on anything we could trade. So it's consolidation. It takes a little time. You can't change the fact we're in a bull market, and you've seen that with the quantum computing stuff, and the semis. And nuclear energy. I guess that was also probably wrapped up into we can do it cheaper without energy. But it's just the evolution of the story we're in, and you're gonna see that, I think, and have seen that with Nvidia and any other semi companies, where it really was just can they use the chips? Can they use the chips? And that story is rotating over to how many are they using currently.
Right.
So I mean it's been fun, but um, I think that's the second chapter or round two of that. Again, we're gonna have to put some rubber to the road in that AI, and you kind of seen that in the opposite way with that DeepSeek stuff. Is supposedly that when that came out Monday, it was just the best AI there was on the planet, and then people started using it, and it couldn't answer basic questions. So, um,
Right. Yeah.
I'm here for that kind of. I mean, it really for me it opened up the nuclear ranges. I mean, those were tradable. I mean, $20 to $30 if you can't trade a stock like that. I don't know what you're doing. And then the quantum as well. The quantum's very scalpable. So, um, staying in the sector and the names, you just kind of have to, I don't know, have a plan. But your your long swing trades on a lot of that stuff you missed when we were first
Yeah.
talking about it.
Yes, and I just I don't really see a situation where like the consolidation here and doubling it up from here on Nvidia and things like that. You really with a lot of these have to contemplate, well, what would that market cap be if that were to happen? And it's just not exactly feasible. So I think you're you're really got to be careful with that kind of thinking. And then there are some big names that, I mean, we had a great spot on Apple, and that one might not come back for for a while. So I still think there's certainly some entries for long term investing like that. But a lot of people are getting destroyed who were just sort of buy calls and forget it every day. And
Yeah,
I would just be really careful about that.
well. Same with Pan W. I mean, we had nailed
Yeah.
the bottom on that. I mean, they'll come up, and you could probably buy Nvidia down here in the 120, 118, or when that breaks, and do fine as
Yeah.
well.
Yeah.
Um, for me, it's the things like the FOMO trades are going to kill people. Like space is a great example. PL last week, I got a little bit of that, but we were in and out of that thing. You don't hold off that 456 level for anything, and I think Fubo is going to be that way here. That 346.
Yeah. Yeah.
I mean, there's going to be trades off of it, but I mean, you don't just plant your flag and go all in, thinking that you're gonna get the move. The move was from $1 to $5, and so
Right.
just be mindful in the story checks because I see a lot of that. And then there's some good. I mean, there's just some good boring stuff. If you go to our 2025 list, there's a few on there that are just grinding away. For me, I like the ER retraces better, like what you've seen with CLS and a little
Yeah.
bit with Levi last week. So it's I guess fractured is a good way to put it. There's no clear direction, and that's Trump's wheelhouse, right? Like he's kind of sporadic with what he does. It's not pounding on one issue. So you kind of got to wait for your sector to get mentioned and talked about. And yeah, I think like oil probably the most highest percentage in there, and then obviously your wind and your solar is another energy angle, and we're just going to see that, and whatever else comes out of the tariffs, I think will also become volatile and tradable. So I'm looking forward to that. I mean, to kind of jump over to tariffs a little bit. Just the game of tariffs. I mean, like we just did Mexico and Canada, and they're trying to fight back. Well, it's all fine. First of all, we have more consumers than anybody. Like
Yeah.
It's just we have more consumers with spendable income than anybody. So America's at a real advantage there when it comes to that. People want to sell products to us. Period. They don't really have a lot of people we can sell products back to, and we don't do a lot of manufacturing. That's a different story.
Right.
And the second part of that, when you do go to pay, like when Mexico pays England for something, they don't use pesos. People they use the dollar bill, and that's until
Yeah.
BRICS really takes over, that's pretty much the standard no matter where you go. So the tariff game with America, I just kind of laugh at. Like, we're gonna win that. We're the banker, and we have all the consumers. So you're really not going to be able to
Yes,
beat us
right.
at that. It's just how does it affect? We talked about with solar, like find the American solar companies. That's the best thesis I can think of, that we kind of hit this early, and now it would make a lot more sense. The solar plays, we were like, find just American solars, because if they put tariffs on this stuff, they're going to be the ones that hit. It's going to be
Right.
harder. The margins are so small in the other ones. It's going to be hard for them to figure that out in America. Whether we use the solar or not, different story. But just that initial news that, hey, you're the only ones that Americans can purchase, that's not at a premium. Um, I think you're going to see that in a lot of other sectors.
Yeah, absolutely. And when I see like some of the tariff news that, Canada, we're gonna target, we're not gonna buy alcohol from
The red states.
red states, right? And so I
Yeah.
started thinking, well, there goes that's bourbon country's gone. Might get some rot gut vodka from New Jersey or something, but I just, I mean, it's all, practically speaking, I don't think it's gonna, move the needle on a lot of stocks. And if, if wine stocks or alcohol stocks take one more leg down, I think that'd be great, because even a retrace, to where they are, they're still way oversold. So yeah, I'm still looking for that. I still look for um, Kennedy with any kind of FUD related to craft, and whoever, like food
Sure.
additives and
Sure.
stuff like that. I mean, I
Pepsi and
still think,
Coke are huge there.
yeah. So that's that's all going to be good. Consumer still seems pretty strong. I mean, if you look at restaurant stocks, I think that's says something. I mean, for Chili's, Eat is the stock to take off and sustain this move like it has. Um, you know, that's not a cheap dinner, and so I think people are still out. I'm still looking at the spring and things like RVs and the experience thesis, the Vegas thesis. I'm still on all that. So I think the biggest bearish momentum, to me, is going to continue to be FUD on chips and um, and crypto. Impatience with crypto is going to start to cause this stuff to sell off more, I think. So, um, Goose and I have talked about Bitcoin in the 80s probably is where it's gonna land, and then we'll see where we go from there.
Yeah, Unk's done with crypto. I don't know if you've caught that win, but
Oh, I know. Yeah,
I'm pretty much out that game for now. There's just better stuff
yeah,
across the board. Um, yeah, no, the I'm with you on the first part of that with the wreck and everything. I mean,
yeah,
that's the dream for America, is just some sort of normalcy, where you can, go to work, save up a little check, go out to Friday night and eat, every once a year go on vacation. And yeah, the Vegas theme kind of fits that, and then all the restaurants as well. Um,
yeah,
Rentals, hotels, maybe a little bit further out there. Um, but I mean, that's what you want. You want stuff that isn't overextended, because a lot. I mean, the stuff that you mentioned, crypto and chips, they're very overextended, and I understand wanting to attach your self to a rocket, but you're better at the launch pad than already at the moon on a lot of. Same with like airlines. If you go back when we were mentioning airlines, those are great. Those fit that travel sector well, but they're just not in a good spot to start right now. They've all had
yeah,
their
yeah.
moves. Kind of rotate a little bit on something that hasn't had their move, and man, I kind of beat you up a little bit on the whatever that ridiculous number was that you threw out with gold.
Oh,
Um,
right, yeah, yeah.
but I don't know what I was watching this week, but this one guy was pretty adamant about the gold run has already started, like a bank
Yeah.
run would, like the physical gold
Uh,
run has already started, and I need to get ready for it, is what this guy was telling me.
yes. So that has been a big part of it. The physical delivery on paper gold basically. And I mean, I think potentially with silver, there's so much paper silver that I hesitate to call it a squeeze, like a silver squeeze, but silver is can get even more momentum and move faster if that narrative gets out there about accounting for physical silver and finding bags of rocks instead of silver and stuff like that in different vaults or whatever. But yeah, I mean, I'm still very much liking those, and the miners have a lot of catching up to do, and that can happen fairly quickly. So yeah, I mean, I call that stuff boring, but it might not move like it's boring, and you want to already be in it. You want to buy it while it's boring, and then sell into momentum. So a lot of healthy charts in that regard. And yeah, biggest part of my thesis on that, besides the numbers, I said Bitcoin or gold's going to have a better year than Bitcoin, and so we're 1 month down, and we'll see what happens this month.
Yes,
But
my gold entry is good so far.
Yeah,
he did mention silver a little bit in that conversation, but he had more of a like just if we do stick with the EV and with all the other manufacturers involved in EV, they actually need silver, and that should push it in general.
yeah.
So the gold though, he was like, we just don't have, which was interesting because it kind of like shit. Someone told me that a few months ago.
Yeah.
But that makes total sense. I mean, if there's only a handful of nuggets out there, whatever someone's willing to pay, and that's your price target coming to fruition, which I was definitely what are you talking about on that?
Yeah.
The oil seems well, I want to touch on natural gas because I think I'm really right on the thesis that I had, which the backdoor deals are going away. Combo stocks I think are great, which you've mentioned that before, but the oil seems kind of murky, and I just want to clear up what you see there, or what are we looking for in oil to benefit the charts?
Well, so I think the tariffs put oil in the news, and I think that's good. The flow setup is still there. In terms of where is any kind of I guess in the actual numbers that come out 6 months from now, who's going to benefit? I still think it's pipelines and exploration are going to be the big winners, and then by extension, kind of the big dogs who have hand in everything. I think are going to do very well. So still looks pretty good to me. This pullback. I mean, you maybe could tap 68 again or something like that, but I'm still adamant that we go to like 92, 96, and still just looking for that over the next 4 to 6 months, something like that.
Interesting. Yeah, no, I just slower moving. I figured that would be something affected by the inauguration, him actually getting into office. I thought it would be one of the faster things, but it sounds like summer schedule still kind of the plan on that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Did you see Kramer's rig article?
I did. Yeah, I posted it. Yeah.
Oh, was that you? Yeah. Okay. I was reading that and I was like, and nowhere in this goddamn thing does it say 2026. Quit misleading the people because their contracts are for next year, not this year. But he just like ripped them like they have no plan for this year. They're just burning money. It's like, well, yeah, they've been doing that for 3 years. Where have you been, Kramer?
Yeah.
Just interesting that that big of a name actually write an article about that company. That was interesting to me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah, seeing them pop up was funny. I'm perfectly willing to just park and wait in that one.
No, 100%. That's a pretty long thesis for me.
Yeah.
I definitely will own some rig in 2026. That's just how it's gonna be. Kind of covered the boring stuff. You got anything else in that over there?
Yeah, I mean, copper's still good. Sitting at 425, and looking to looking to move up from here. Um, Another name that can benefit from some of the tariff narratives. I still think, within steel, had a lot of bullish setups in steel start to show up, and the U.S. Steel acquisition resolves itself is it's going to be significant for that sector, and winners and losers and all that. But yeah, I mean overall steel looks pretty bullish too.
Yeah, I'm just buying CLF. That's all I'm doing right now. That's a that's the go-to for me. In that whole, what do you want to call it, Chinese thing, Chinese purchase of X,
Yeah,
and the whole news thing. That's just my angle on that.
when when you have news hanging over a sector, you have to kind of wait it out. I mean, I think of like Kroger, the big Kroger Albertsons
Yes.
merger, and I mean Kroger was just stagnant for about a year, and then took off now. It's like $61. So and so if you just kind of waited that one out, I was buying that in the 40s, and
45,
and just
66.
sort of yeah, yeah. So that that trade worked. So some of those you just need some patience. The attempts to where I see people mess this up, where they try the big like arbitrage trade, and that happened with like Spirit Airlines, and um, didn't go well for people. That was a different kind of setup. That was just day trading, day trading news. Kroger wasn't going to collapse to $20 based on whatever happened. So I was happy to wait that one out. I think not doing the merger is probably better for both of them. Albertsons long term too. So yeah, I mean, I think being willing to have some patience and see this stuff play out is important. And I emphasize too. I mean, yeah, I post notes every day that a lot of them do pretty well, and they're 15-minute trades and everything. But again, we talk about it all the time. Like, you don't want to be starting over every day. If I just traded off those notes, I'd be starting over every day. I would rather have money parked in Rig. I'd rather have money parked in Kroger, and just let that trade go to work. Let it do its thing. Leave it alone. And a lot of day traders, or traders more generally, mess up because they just they tinker too much with trades as they're happening. They get impatient. They don't stick to some kind of plan. If you just have a plan, and then if it works, you do this. If it doesn't work, you do this. You just stick to that. That discipline is really the only thing that's going to allow you to be successful.
And I'm gonna jump back because you hit on a topic that I wanted to, so be a little out of order here. But
Yeah,
bro, 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 I listened to this fucking Twitter Spaces, bro, and bro
yeah,
is all they said, bro, and they like the bro chart, bro. And if you didn't know, bro, you just don't know, bro. Oh my god. I just,
yeah,
my ears were bleeding. I don't know if you hopped in that because I posted when I was in there, but
yeah,
man, it was
yeah,
nasty. Um, the only thing, I mean, it wasn't my saying, but listening to those people, I get why um, you pound the table so hard on starting over every day because they live that life. I mean, they
yeah,
totally live that life, and they try to stay, I guess, in the shallow end, so to speak, when it comes to theses and stories. Like, oh, I'm just trading the chart, and then the only time they'll pay attention to the news, or what's going on, or how much it actually ran if you looked back at 4 days. um, they don't look at that until they're wondering why they lost in a trade. So
yeah.
it's very, like, I don't know. Twitter's fucking worthless. Like, we need we need we need to go to Blue Sky or something. I don't know, because I mean there's just nothing over that's good except for a good salesman at this point in time. It's sad. It's sad to watch. I mean, outside, I think I'll say his name. Outside of Mando, I don't know anyone else that's in their 20s that hasn't completely switched their style up in the last year and a half, and that you can kind of tell are like you say, trading with the small account is the account. You know, they got to wait for
Yeah.
settled cash. They're over there leverage trading crypto because that's all they got. And I guess you could probably borrow some money somehow over there. Just equities is totally out of the question for a lot of that space. Um, Sad to see, but it just is when you say to me now, starting over every day, I have an actual I can point to people. I mean, before it was just an idea, and now I'm seeing it in the real world, so to speak.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And yeah, and I've seen it with a lot of people with option flow. They don't really stick with it because of a lot of what we talk about. Some of the best flow I see is going to take 3 or 4 months, for the trade to happen. They want to hop in and see what spy contracts are being bought that day, and just trade off of that. And that's not uh, the biggest use case for option flow, but it's sort of what sells. And then I mean, the biggest thing, most posts about flow are someone always knows that they'll post after Pelosi with the TEM trade, where we were talking about that stock 6 weeks ago. And that's not useful either, except for marketing. Like, you buy my service and you can find this stuff, but finding it early is a different story. Those contracts I found, those were not Nancy Pelosi option contracts, but there's someone who had a pretty good idea that stock was going to move.
Whoever told
And whatever
Pelosi
information
bought those
whatever
contracts.
information she acted on, that they had the same information, and they're just scaling in. Not even earlier, probably the same time, but you don't hear about Pelosi's buy until after it happened. So and then the best place to be is happen with AVGO, is to then sell into all the FOMO because she bought something. So that's a lot easier than scalping the move itself.
Yeah, you pick up the flow from the person that tells Pelosi to buy.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah, no, that's just the starting over every day really resonates with me, and especially that shout out secondary, that his IRA comment. I mean, I've seen it. I've just seen it every step of the way, no matter the market in our group. The ones that like slow down and take time. Yeah, you're up 50 to 75% if
Yeah.
if you just buy red. If you buy this when it's sat or on a level before the news. I mean, if you wait for confirmation, it ain't gonna work. And some of them do take 3 weeks, and some of them take 18 months. I mean, Fubo was a great example of a trade just taking long, but you're gonna 5x on something you can control your sizing in, and
Yeah.
it's my main point on why you should trade shares and a little bit more in options is I didn't know until I started hanging out with a bunch of option fucking traders, but I said it a few weeks ago, and it's probably gonna be one of the main points I pound home this year. But the money's gonna scare you. What you have to do in the long run if you're just an options trader, it's hard to put 2K in an options trade, because there's
Yeah.
the way. I mean, unless you're just a gambler, but shares, that's like a small position. It really is. It's a small position, and you got to be comfortable with putting closer to, maybe 8 to 10 or maybe 20 if it's a name like Nvidia into the trade in the long run. It just even as an investor, that's how you're going to make money. I mean, you bring up the if you put $10,000 into Apple in 1995, you would be worth.
Right.
Well, you got to be able to put 10K into these trades, people, and the options I think kind of skew your mind a little bit on that. And,
Yeah.
Goose and Viperfish, I haven't talked to him in a while, are two good examples of people that like took nothing. I mean, I think both of them were under $20, and 4, 8, 10x that account just because they didn't care about, oh, I'll just buy a share. We called it one share gang there for a while. I'll just buy a share and oh, it's up. I'm going to sell that and buy the next one. And that compounding brick by brick is just way better than trying to hit a home run. Um,
Yeah.
uh, the baseball average, is if you hit 300, you're doing good. Well, we need to be like free throws in basketball. It's what you want to be.
Right.
A little easier on the trade, a little higher percentage on the makes. And I think
Yeah.
that's what you get from the share side. So, um, yeah. Just I only say I'm only pounding the table on that because man, I was in two or three rooms, just kind of getting a feel of what people were talking about, and there's hundreds of people that still think options are the only way or they're a get rich quick scheme. Um,
Yeah.
and they're really not. Just buy some fucking shares, people. Sorry.
Yeah. I mean the percentages on retail options losses are just really eye opening. And so if and like I say, I mean when you buy an option contract, you're typically most people you're going to the plate with two strikes already, 0-2 count, and you're trying to. It gets harder to say like, oh, I'm going to wait for my pitch when you're down 0-2. Like you buy the contract and it's instantly down $100. Uh, do I wait that out or do I just cut it here and then it messes with your mind because then you watch it goes up 300 right after you sell it and so that really like can skew things for people. So finding a way to trade in position sizes that don't mess with your emotions is really the only way to do those and just keep most of what you do shares. I think I'm up to like 80% now shares. So that's up from it's like 35%. It just happens over time. And then you build up share positions and you start selling options, which puts you at an advantage a lot of times. So yeah, I'm with you on that.
Yeah, and this is the short term victories. I mean, even if you do hit a home run over there, I don't think it sticks with you. Like, do you remember your last 500% option trade, P? Is that like sticking with you? Was that like hang out in your head? And I would
Um,
I would think
so
it doesn't come up quick. It's not like, oh yeah.
oh yeah, well I mean I had one Friday, but it was a hedge, right? So I was like, well I'm buying more now calls. And like intraday I bought a couple puts, and then the tariff keyword popped, and they went like it was like 120 to 1100 bucks. Um, However, I had calls too, so on the whole, I made like 500 on that. So that's great and everything, but yeah, I mean no, I don't go into it trying to repeat 500%, 1,000%, or or something like that. You typically have to hold through too much just nonsense to for that to happen. And I mean nobody like I've said it like all the time, and people post the max possible gain on option contracts, but if something goes from 300 to 500 to 200 to 2,000, who honestly held that whole time?
Yeah, yeah.
That's completely irresponsible to do that because usually it falls to 200, it's going to zero. So no, I don't think that focusing on multi baggers is really going to get you
Well,
anywhere.
my more point on that is like my account reflects my wins still. Like I still see them. They're like they're portraits on the wall. Like Chewy's up on the wall.
Yeah,
NU is up on the wall. PTLO right now is up on the wall. So I'm still
right.
like I still see those wins. I still see those good trades because they're still active and they're not. SoFi is up on the wall. Um, I don't feel like again I have to trade every day, but I'm trying to repeat
Yeah.
those as opposed to like oh I
Well,
just
yeah,
had
I kind of see what you mean. So like
as
yeah,
opposed to like I
the
just
big
had three bad trades, right? What do I do now? Like I really don't get in that mindset because I have six or seven good trades that are active that ain't coming back that kind of just help my mental because they're there. And the option side, I just
yes,
don't see you
yeah.
guys have that at all.
No, yeah. The wins on the wall. I mean, so the big win on an option trade, it's like the spring break one night stand. It's fun. Probably not repeatable. Probably shouldn't be repeatable. Like it's nothing meaningful that's gonna really stick with
Was this
you.
one night stand a threesome? Sorry.
But so yeah, building something long term is more rewarding overall. So yeah,
Well, just mentally,
totally.
like when you say don't trade every day, that's what I was like. All right, well, I'll just let these cook. Like that's what comes into my head, right? Like I'm not gonna trade today
Yeah,
because I'm already good over here. Like or like
right.
I'm gonna manage. Let's throw that in word. I'm gonna manage these positions. I mean, like as opposed to like, well, I did that last week. I haven't done it Monday or Tuesday. I've had a couple strikeouts. I got to do it. I got to get one of those now. I just where it puts you mentally, I think, is night and day.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
So have a couple shares in your back pocket, people. All right, to jump back because sorry, I was all out there. Where are you at on SAS right now? That'll be my last sector question. I'm just curious because I haven't really got. I know when it comes, you'll say something, but I'm trying to get a feel on it because I love some of the charts. I'm trying to figure out what I'm looking for, and I'm not as
The
smart as a professor, so.
so Yeah, I'm going to lead into this comment by talking a little bit about Facebook.
Okay.
So Facebook took a dip with everything on the DeepSeek news. And then I think, seemingly people realize that, Facebook doesn't make chips. Open source AI shit from China or repeating that in the US benefits them. It makes what they do cheaper. And I think that is the story for software this year is that, we can be more profitable with all these AI applications if the costs come down a bit, and so I think they're going to benefit from that. And I posted maybe 3 weeks ago. I put like SaaS greater than hardware for now,
Yes.
and that was just based on flow. Now I see the story for it. So yeah, I think that there is a big opportunity in that. On the As related to that, I think cybersecurity is very crucial. Anytime anything comes up with China, cybersecurity is kind of what comes to mind, and so a lot of those stocks I think will benefit from this as well. So we talk about being picky within tech. I think that's kind of where you want to be, and those software stocks, however, to me are not enough to prop up QQQ if you know Nvidia and all them, like their losses will overwhelm the gains in software. So I don't think it's the time to go full send Nasdaq. It's going to kind of
Fragmented.
balance out a bit, but um, a little bit. 3 days down, 2 days up. I still think we're going to be in that for the foreseeable future.
Perfect. Yeah, because I was trying to. I mean, obviously, cybersecurity, that's easy. Um,
Yeah.
Thesis wise, that's a real easy. You just need it. But the rest of them, trying to figure out, your wolves and your U's and your stuff like that. I think there's plenty of
Yeah, and
opportunity
even
there.
your Dropbox, your DocuSign,
Yeah. Zoom.
Adobe, like
Zoom.
Zoom. Yeah, I mean, just they can find a way to spin this in a positive way, I think. And I'd anticipate a lot of software earnings. Two contracts up, one contract down. That's sort of where I'm at. And it was the opposite most of last year in terms of how I traded those for earnings. So,
Do you
so
do
that's
you
kind of what I'm.
do you see the good news is like we're partnering with somebody, or is it more of we're developing this because of this need in AI? Like, what would be the better news, do you think? Independent, like we're just developing some shit and we'll prove it to you in 6 months, or, we're going to partner with this company on an AI project?
Um, I think the independent software application angle. And I would still, I wouldn't dismiss the education stocks as far as this goes.
Sure.
We're gonna cycle back around to, you know those names, in the absolutely in the dirt, and it's yeah. I mean, is it going to be easier to go 100% on Chegg or Adobe? So kind of think about that. So yeah, I mean, I'm really kind of excited about cycling back around to some of those, but yeah, I mean, that was always a big question for software for me is, how are we going to make this profitable if you constantly to keep up with this have to keep buying $20,000-$30,000 chips a pop to make all this stuff. How do you make any money off of it if all of a sudden it kind of goes open source and you can adapt that to your use case and all of that? Then it becomes a little more favorable. Even if they don't deliver on it, they can certainly spin that angle. So yeah, I'm pretty optimistic about software.
That makes total sense. You got anything else before we get into SPY?
Yeah, I'm good.
First of the month, so we kind of pivoted this session. So I want to use the beginning of the months just to kind of go over maybe more bigger picture last month and look forward to next month as opposed to the week basis. Pretty strong month for SPY though. I mean, we're stuck in the 580, 610 range. Seen it again last week. Consolidation over the first month. Kind of expected, but man, the market still looks really, really strong. I don't see us stopping, but I also think that we're limited on the upside. If we're not running to like 620 or anything, like the 615, it'll be $5 at a time. With those pretty chunky pullbacks that we've been getting, Friday afternoon, seen it again. Higher low though on the daily kind of keeps forming, so I do think we grind up, but going nowhere fast for me, P, the first month, and kind of seen it. I don't think that goes away in the second month of the year. I think we're kind of still in this grindy range.
So the contract of note for me, the one that stands out is SPY 620C for March 21st. And I mean, and to me, and it's gone kind of back and forth. It's sort of a 50-50 contract. It sold off some on Friday with the pullback late in the day. But that's the lid to me.
Yeah.
And I don't think that they're going to let the market break through that. So I think they're going to sell that more than buy it, and it's going to define the range. So it's funny you said 620 because that actually is that's the strike. 6 weeks out, and so to grind up there, that contract's going to lose value as we go. So the sellers will win out in the end on that, while it also still will remain a tradable contract. So it's about $440 right now. It was $750 at the top on Friday.
Oh wow!
So you can see that there's your range. Look at the percentage of SPY, and that range will change as it gets closer to expiration. But yeah, so that's a tradable contract, but also that the day trades on it are just noise. Overall, it's a lid on the market. That's my read there.
I'm trying to trade that 604 put from 5 cents to $3.
Yeah, right.
Or that 608 call from a penny to $2. I get why people be like, man, I'm going to trade this stuff, but more power to you if you can, I guess.
Yeah, those kind of trades, it's sort of like it's like buying scratch tickets or something. Like the losses, you don't really notice them, but if you were to actually keep track of how many scratch tickets you bought in 6 months, and you're down hundreds of dollars, you might not want to do that anymore. But yeah,
the old man NFTs. The original NFTs right there. Some ODTs are the original NFTs. Jesus. Yeah. So are you so you're 620, I'm assuming, That's your absolute top two over the next month.
Yeah, that's where I think they'll let it get close but not break through. So 615 to 617, something like that. My top for the next 6-8 weeks.
What about the other way? Because I mean, 580 to 620 is a pretty big range. Do we lift that floor a little bit, maybe to the 600 level, or does that become?
Yeah, so I don't really see a lot in options that is creating a floor. Like, so I think a lot of that's happening through futures at the moment.
Okay.
And the pre-market drop in recovery or the pop and fade. I mean, I just think that's gonna really be the dominant paradigm. And so at the end of the day, either on an individual day you don't really move much, 0.3% or something like that, or you have some great day, and then you pull back the next day, and so like overall we're really not moving very far very fast. It's just but you'll still have some big intraday range. We probably are going to have it today. I think the first futures candle is not going to look so great. So
Yeah,
we'll
you
see
said
kind
that.
of where we
You
go
said
from
that
there.
Friday. I think you said that Friday at like 10 at night. I was like, "How you already know that?
Yeah.
We ain't even got through the weekend yet."
Yeah.
And then I wake up this morning. I was like, "Yeah, that's probably gonna be accurate." I do. You got me starting to look at those. I chime into those, and I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at, but I chime into the future candles there about 8 p.m. my time and just look like what they did. It's usually after that first initial reaction, and it kind of levels back out a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm trying to learn that a little bit because you kind of, I think you kind of base your start of your week off of that a little bit.
Oh yeah, I mean I do. I didn't go into last week like I'm gonna swing AVGO. In fact, I even last Sunday said like I really miss the days where I could trade AVGO, and then and it drops like 17% as I had shares in it. So I'm like that wasn't fun, but I bought those shares a hell of a long time ago. But anyway, yeah. So that definitely does influence what I'm gonna do, including, and this is something I tried to get better about, when I'm going to kind of sit out for a little bit. I never used to do that.
No,
I just trade every day.
you're a day trader. We trade every day.
Exactly. Right. Yeah. So, no, I'm, yeah, it definitely influences, where I want to be. And then, also I think one of the biggest, I'll just close with this, best things about our room is finding the stocks that don't really care about
Yeah.
SPY and what's going on. So like not necessarily right now, but something like
PTLO.
if Beyond Meat starts to have something going on, whatever move it's got going on, or Piton, or ones like that, yeah, they're not really gonna care what SPY's doing on that day. They're off, they're siloed off, and so some of the best setups are gonna be those over the next couple months too.
Yeah, Monday.
Really,
Monday was a
Trump
great...
doesn't trigger those algos. So that's the way I'm.
No, Monday was a great day for that.
Yeah,
we kind of had the talk last weekend. Like, hey, you said you had some class stuff in the afternoons on Mondays and Wednesdays, and usually on Monday I don't say shit because I'll tell everyone why. I put out 3 hours of content on Sunday. You don't need to hear me fucking repeat it on Monday. I mean, is what it is. But this last Monday, I was like, all right, let's be active in the room, and everything's falling. And I'm like, well, we're going to have to create some content here. But, you get midday, and you kind of see what's happening. And that Monday was kind of a gift if you hung out for most of the day. We haven't had more than really one bad day in a long time. Two is even 2 bad days in a row has been kind of a rarity. So for me, yeah, that's the first thing I do is go look at what's going against the grain or what's not reacting. And it's very, very easy when everything was pulling back on Monday. So, yeah. I had one more point I wanted to make. Oh, I'm going to say it here. I was going to save this for the private, but I'll say it here. I talk a lot about EMAs, um, because that's what the algos trade off of.
Yeah.
If you don't have them on your chart, please get them on, at least on the daily and the weekly. Get the 50 and the 200. That's how old people trade. And I just have seen it probably 15 times in the last 2 weeks. We get a good flush, and that wick is right to the EMA. It's just right to it. So um, that's the level currently that I would be watching for pullbacks on some of the bigger names if you are looking for reentry or looking for a pretty easy bounce back spot. And the reason is retail ain't in control right now. It's not
Yeah.
2021. We don't got stimuluses. Big money's in control. That's what they use. They're going to steer the ship, not us. So back to them being the whales and us being the minnows. Just swim with them.
Yeah, and I mean, just yesterday, I was at the cigar bar and had a guy ask me about Oxy, and he's like, "Why is Buffett so stubborn? Why does he keep buying Oxy?
Oh,
It
let's
doesn't.
pull
It's
that.
not doing anything. It's been going down, and what's going. What is he thinking? He's lost it." And I'm like, "No, I mean, look at his position in Coca Cola or Chevron or Apple. He's trading it exactly how he did those, and it is very much about those EMAs and patience and time, and all of a sudden he owns 30% of the company and gets however many millions in dividend checks, and then you know Oxy will be $72 in a year or whatever. So yeah, I mean, you kind of know what you're in. And I mean, it's just, he's the same guy. Like, he asked for a ticker, I gave him quantum stuff back then.
Sure.
So I think that's sort of that expectation, like, that all stocks are going to be like that. And he's like, "What else do you like?" And I'm like, "Oh, I like Oxy a lot." And that's sort of like, it's like, why would you like that? Why do you like the stock that is consolidating, or dropping, when you just like something that went up 60%? Different stock, different setup. So yeah, I'm with you there.
Still 43 on Oxy. Run the tape back.
Yeah.
Until we get there. I mean, I expected us to get there. We've touched 45, I think. So, I mean, add when sad. Yeah. No. Perfect. You ready to get to work, P? Giving these people
Yeah,
too
let's do it.
much.
Yeah, yeah.
Like and subscribe. Link somewhere, people.